Welcome to the Why Music podcast, where we talk to independent artists about their journeys, the inspirations behind their music, and ultimately why they make music. This next artist is a Midwest born and raised singer songwriter. Finding a true home in music, she invites a sense of self exploration from behind her guitar. Welcome, Rebekah.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
I always like to start with where your music journey kind of all began.
Oh, yeah. So I started playing piano when I was like 5 or 6 years old. My mom put me in lessons, and I really like found an instant connection with the piano. Um, I think like the way that I like developed my relationship with music was like finding an escape and like solace, because I definitely grew up in like a more of a chaotic environment and like didn't have a lot of certainty around me. So very early on, like I had found like, oh, if I play the piano, like I can almost like just like put all of the uncertainty into this stuff. And I didn't realize it at the time because like I'm a kid, so I'm not like having these profound like thoughts back then. But it was like when I started playing again as an adult, and I got like the piano that I played from childhood, and I like played one chord, and I just like instantly felt all of that come back and like just started like crying. I was like, oh, this was where I was like safe, was with this piano. Um, so that's kind of like where it started. And I like did theater and choir in high school and kind of still played piano. But it wasn't until my early 20s that I started really taking songwriting seriously. I went through a breakup, and I like went to Texas to visit a friend and just was like, I'm gonna buy a guitar while I'm here, like why not? And then like just started singing and playing and writing from there. And it was like kind of like a similar thing. Like I didn't know where to put that first heartbreak. I was like, what do I do with this? And then like I just like put it into music, and I was like, oh, this works. This makes me feel a lot better, and I don't have to like feel this heaviness. And also like that song's pretty cool.
Oh, this works. This just kind of, we found the band-aid.
Yeah, exactly.
So, from just kind of stumbling into songwriting and stuff, then where was it kind of after that that you were like, okay, like I like what I'm doing here. This is kind of like my zone. Where was it that you're like going from just songwriter, musician, whatever other hat you want to throw in there to like doing the artist thing of like recording and actually like prioritizing the creative acts and things like that and away beyond just the coping mechanism that it seemed to be?
Right. Yeah, I think there was like a time where I was recognizing I worked in behavioral health for a few years, and I was like going to school to further my education to like just that was going to be my career. And the more I was like walking towards that, like the more anxiety I was overcome with at all times. And I was like, something is just not right. Like, I can't do this. So I told myself, like, let's just try to record an EP of the songs we have, like, in case, like this is all we ever get to put out. Like, let's just see what we can do. And so I like started with that, and that's how like my first EP came about. It was just like a collection of like songs that I had that like as I look back on them, they're obviously representative of me as an artist, but they are like I think were written at times when like I hadn't fully realized myself as an artist. So like when I look back on that, I love that collection, but I'm also like, this is so all over the place. Um, but I'm still very proud of it. But when I did that and I did my first release show and just like being back on a stage and connecting with the audience, I think it was like there was no other option. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, yeah, there was like also like some like life events that happened that kind of just like shook me to a place where I was like, I need to do something. Like, if this is truly my only chance that I get, like, I have to push for this. Like, I cannot be an 80-year-old woman thinking, like, oh, I wish I would have made a record. I wish I would have tried to be a musician. Like, it was in my heart. So it was like, you have to try. So, yeah. that I feel like that was really worrying.
No, and it's sometimes it's just like you can like I don't know that anybody, at least in most cases, goes into it thinking this is like the end goal of like doing the artist thing. It's like, no, you like start with an instrument at hand or you start in choir or in musical theater. I've had a handful of people on here that have said that. And it's like
Yeah,
you take those like preemptive steps of like dipping your toe in the music water and then dipping your toe in the songwriting water. And then
yeah,
it just kind of happens where you're like, okay, like you just, I don't want this to just be for me. Like, I want this to be something that like this needs to go beyond my ears. I can't be the only one
yeah.
listening to this. And not from like a prideful like I think this shit's amazing kind of thing,
Right.
but like from a like okay, like it's art is meant to be public, if you will, and it's
Yeah,
you can't like there are some things that you can keep behind closed doors and just have it for that coping mechanism sort of thing, but it's also like you're almost doing a disservice to not give yourself the opportunity to see what it could be at its full potential. Like you said, like you
yeah,
don't want to be 80 and be like, damn, I really wish I would have done that.
exactly. And like being an artist and a creative person is such a big part of my identity. I think if I would have kept hiding it, it would have felt like walking through life like a fake or something, you know? Like I can't it got to a point where like I couldn't hide that I was writing songs. Like I couldn't hide that all I wanted to do was music. Like it was just becoming all I wanted to do.
And that just doesn't align with like a normal like walk of life path because then that's just going to take up all your time and then you're going to lose whatever job you have and then it's just going to be like okay shit hit
Exactly.
the fan whether it was intentional or not, you know?
Yeah.
We don't
And
need things crumbling right in front of us. We can
no,
intentionally just like put that aside and prevent the crumble.
exactly, exactly. That comes with age. I crumbled a lot of things.
It's part of the process, you know?
For sure.
It's and everything always seems so much bigger at the time than it does after the fact because
Yeah.
the longer we live, the shorter amount of time any one moment really is proportionally. Like, you
Yeah.
know, when you're in high school and you're going through the like high school breakups and those little relationships that aren't really relationships, it's like it feels like the end of your world. And
Yeah.
then you're in your 20s and you're like, okay, we were a little dramatic about this.
Right.
Maybe
That's
it's really
kind of
not
a
the
problem.
end of the world. You know, we're
Yes.
still here. Life still goes on. Everything's fine, even though at the time it feels like everything is just done for.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like helpful too with getting older, being able to like having those moments of hindsight, you can like try to bring that into the present when like shit's hitting the fan in your life
Mhm.
now and just be like, I know that this will one day not feel like this. Like it
Yeah,
sucks now, but like it isn't the end of the world.
right. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. No, that's big because having that like being able to just kind of like take the blinders off for a second and be like, okay, like yeah, this sucks and I'm going to let it suck for the moment because that's just how we're going to have to process it. But there's light at the end of that tunnel. That tunnel
yeah,
has another side. We're okay. We'll turn it
yes.
into a nice piece of work and call it a day.
Right, exactly, exactly.
It's all music really is just a nice little, you know, channel of emotions in a nice pretty package.
Yeah, for real. Like it's like almost like if you think of it like really abstract, it's like kind of like a way of like how photography captures a moment. Like it does capture a moment and a memory in time and
Yeah.
solidifies it there forever.
Yeah. It's a nice little wave file time capsule is what it is.
Yes, it is.
Um, what do you find most often inspires a lot of your songwriting?
Um, I think I still do turn to songwriting for like those harder those harder things that like harder emotions that kind of come up. Um, I'm really I guess like mental health is really entwined in like why I'm doing music as well because I have the awareness of what it's done for me. So a lot of my songs I feel like are going to like not be heavy. I don't want to use that word because I feel like that's like a little bit negative almost. Like but I'm writing from a deep place, I guess, is maybe how I could sum it up.
Yeah. I mean, you're a heavy kind of sounds like, okay, this is going to be depressing, but it doesn't have
Right.
to be. It's
Right.
just the quantity of emotion, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm like and I like especially like with the newest project that I'm working on, like I kind of describe it as like a little like memory palace or like a way of really getting into like some deeper things that like I've worked through, but like I needed to put them into a place. I needed to put them into a song. And like that was essential in helping me like finally work through a lot of it. But yeah, so it's like I don't know. I like to think that like my music is like something you could like release your trauma to or like have some sort of emotional release or connection to and feel while you're going through it, like while you're listening to the song, there's some sort of like feeling of relief after it's done. Like, oh, like I feel seen, or like that felt really good to like belt out like that, or like, that's what music does for me. Like, I love just to turn that up and like let me scream this for a minute.
I like the memory palace phrase that you used.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I actually like Luke, you met Luke.
Hmm.
I was like trying to explain to him that and he actually like used that phrase and I was like that is actually like perfect. Like it is like a little memory palace. It's like a little place, a little village in my head. It's not the whole village, but it is a village in my head and it's important that you know that that's there.
Yeah, no, and it's I like that you were said that it's something that you've kind of like already wrapped up for yourself, but also just kind of had to put somewhere because sometimes like it could be 7 years after the fact and you write a song about it. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's that's what's really cool about it is because it doesn't have to be something like this didn't happen yesterday. It didn't have to happen yesterday, even though we're
Yeah.
creating it now. Like sometimes it's just like if you ever look back on a situation and you're like, okay, like I see this in a completely different light than I did at the time. It's like it's the same way that, you'll never make music the same way again. It's everybody's
Yeah.
constantly evolving and when we cross back over different timelines and things is not always in our control and sometimes it's just, it's like there's one little like unfinished business piece of it that's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is applying a conclusion here. This is wrapping it up, tying
Yes.
it up, calling it a day, that kind of thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's just time.
And that's like exactly how it felt. It felt like it was like a conclusion. Like I was like, "Ooh, I can close this chapter for good now." Like and you're ready, I think, as a person to deal with things and process them when you're ready.
Hmm.
And so it's like it came out here in a song this way, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm glad that it did.
Yeah, no, and that's all you can really ask for is like whether or not it happens like right when you're like thinking about it or going through it or whatever it is. It's like there's a little part of you in the back of your mind where you're like, okay, I know that this will get wrapped up at some point. And now here we
Yes.
are at the conclusion.
Yes. Final chapter. So exciting.
If you had to create a new genre around your style of music, what would it be called?
It would be called like ethereal space nature rock, but not even rock, like ethereal space nature, something I don't even know. Like, 'cause yeah, I don't know, like kind of like it would be something that's like almost like fantasy sci-fi esque, but like yeah, we're gonna go with like a spirit ethereal space rock. I don't want to use rock, but I don't know what else to put there. Ethereal space alternative music.
So, okay, from what we were just talking about and talking about wrapping up personal experiences to going to using a fantasy slash sci-fi inspired terminology,
Yeah,
what is the connection there? Because those feel like contrasting items to me. Like we're talking about like this is how I'm processing real life experiences and stories and wrapping up old wounds and whatever
yeah,
else you want to call it. but it also like is fantasy and doesn't like it's like fantasy is like basically like not real. And so where are we
Yeah.
tying the real to the not real here?
Yeah, so that's a really cool question. A lot of the sounds that I use are like of like outer space sounds or like bird sounds, kind of like naturey sounds in my music and my instrumentation. And I use those to help tell the story because like for so long I walked around the world like literally feeling like, and I still do, like I have this fascination with the moon. And like when I was like a little kid, like I had this like cardboard cutout that I made of the moon. I like printed it out and then like I drew a circle of cardboard and I put it up there. And I was like, Mom, like I'm from here. Like I don't know. Like I just felt so displaced in my environment that I was like, I must be from the moon. um, so I think like that ties in because like I like that outer space element in music. I like glimmers and droney sounds. I like birds. I like all of that is like me. So like putting all of that in was like these are the things that like helped me get there. Like the instrumentation I feel like really represents the healing part of my journey is like I'm in the woods all the time. I'm looking at birds all the time. That was essential for me to be able to get to where I am, is spending all that time out there and looking at the stars at night and being like, gonna get back to you one day. I'll see you soon. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I'm still caught
Feels
up on the I'm from the moon.
like literally, I don't know how to describe it. I just literally felt like that is my home planet. Like I'm pretty sure I was supposed to be there, but they missed the drop off. I ended up here. I don't know what clothes these are, but they're not mine. Like I felt that way for so long. Now I
So
kind
then
of embrace it. I'm like, whatever, I'm a little off. I'm a little weird. It's fine.
so then I have to assume you're like a big like believe in aliens.
I definitely believe in aliens. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way that we could be the only people
Your
out
your
there.
your relatives are out there somewhere.
Oh my gosh, yes. They have this. Have you seen this girl signs up on whatever they post those signs? They're like, "Where is Rebekah?" Call me. I'm on every milk carton on another
Oh my
planet.
God. Oh, the milk carton. Oh my gosh. That's funny. That's a first. I gotta say that's a first.
That's just a small peek inside of there.
So then, okay, so then if we're piecing together the what prompted that question is it's like you almost kind of are like connecting the real and not real. So you almost like you went content and then you went here with like the genre you were looking at it more from just the which I guess genre is really just the sound perspective. I guess I don't
Yeah.
but you almost need to put those two together. Like pull a like, hey, these are like real things and like put that with a here's what it sounds like kind of thing. Like
Yeah. I'm very
combine those.
excited to like try and explain to people like what it is I'm trying to do. Because it's like,
Mhm.
I think like when I do just like do a show and I'm just playing acoustic guitar, like it's very easy to be like, this is a folk singer, this is a country singer. Like it's very easy to be like, she's playing simple chords on a guitar with a melody. And it's very exciting for me to be like, but I don't know if you hear what's going on in my head, but I can guarantee you like it's way wilder than you think. So I'm very excited to show people like I know that for so long like I've seemed this way, but like I've been able to unlock the sounds in my head and like I really would like for you to see what I put here.
No, Ed, I mean, you're not wrong because when you said like ethereal and like space, after sitting next to you on stage in
Yeah.
Nashville, I was like, because I'm very much in the acoustic little like realm of, the folk pop landscape kinds of things. And
Yeah.
I felt like our stuff matched up pretty well. And so then
Oh yeah.
hearing those words be tied to what I was like, okay, we're on the same page here, very different. And
It
so, yeah,
yeah,
that's a different, but hey, it's a new venture. We're here for
it
the
is.
new things.
And like I had noticed that disconnect because I noticed it like when I talk with like a lot of people, the way I was viewing myself and the way I was hearing my music was different than what other people were experiencing as well. So like working on this last project was like so helpful in like me being able to actually dive deep enough to be like, what am I hearing? And then like when it's coming out as bird sounds, like at first, like I was like, oh, is that kind of weird? But it's like, but no, but that's what I hear and that's what I like and that's what I want there. And the more I just like leaned into that, then when it was done, I was like, oh my God, it's everything that I've been looking for this whole time. So I hope that when I do come out, that people are able to have that light bulb moment of like, oh, we now can see what was going on. Like, and yeah, I'll probably still always sound like a folky pop country girl when I play just acoustic, and I guess that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like when it comes to what you think genre-wise and stuff like that, like I don't know, like it's like this is my own question and I'm like having my own whole moment about this right now of like, oh, you're actually taking this in terms of like genre as if that's not exactly what I asked you to do. And so because I think, a lot of people are like weave other things in there, or I get some like canned answer of like indie rock pop, and it's just like, okay, that's not what we're that's if I said new, okay, that's not what we're
Yeah,
doing here.
yeah,
But I mean, it is like genre is 100% what you hear. It's not about the content in itself. Like you could take a
yeah,
set of lyrics and put it in any different category
yep,
depending on how you packaged it and
yep,
whatever else. Like there's a lot of different
100%.
elements that would put it in different places. And so, yeah, I mean, but that's kind of like a nice little like contrast where it's like that's not like necessarily the little pocket that you're sitting in when the songs sound like what they're supposed to sound like and sound full and made
Yeah,
out the way that your brain has made them to be. But
yeah,
it's also like you can also have that moment of like, hey, we're stripping it back and just letting it be in its own little like
yep,
simple form, and it takes on a new life.
yeah,
It opens a lot of doors in the like way of, we can do it this way and do it up the way it's up here, or we can just kind
right.
of go back to the roots of it and just,
It's
you know,
true. It's true. Because like even hearing you say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wonder if there was like an audience who like didn't vibe with my ethereal space things. Like I could just release like an acoustic album and then I would be happy with that. And then if it like helped reach another audience that liked my stuff but didn't vibe with that, like
hmm
that's fine. Still me.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am a sucker for a good like live acoustic track of things, like
Yes.
regardless of what the original form sounded like.
Same.
And so like that's, I mean, and like it's not like it's like, okay, this is like 70% of what the like original song was. It just sounds like if I were to just do an acoustic version, like it's gonna sound pretty much like the acoustic like actual version that I have.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
if you're going completely different and taking that ethereal space element things out of it, it kind of, you like you said, it can reach a whole new, like somebody could just strictly love you and guitar stuff.
Right, right.
And if you vibe with that, then
Yeah,
that's a door you could open. If you don't vibe with that,
exactly.
you don't have to open that door. It's totally like, you know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
your world that you get to kind of pave out that way.
Exactly.
There you go.
I'll have to send you some of my new stuff so you can see before you
Okay.
come
See
out.
the difference between what
Yeah.
I'm picturing in my head versus what like actually
Yes.
lives.
Yes. I would love to send you some.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I need to understand the ethereal here.
Yes. You will. You'll be like,
Perfect. We're right on the money there. Yeah. Is there a song that you've released that you think best embodies who you are as an artist?
hmm. I think I think it honestly would be a tie for Talks with God and Northern Lights that I have out right now. I think of what I had released, those felt the closest to what was inside of my head when I put them out.
Why?
Um, I think like Well, with Talks with God, I had known exactly, it was like the first song that I had like fully composed everything for. So it did feel like, oh, this is exactly how I was picturing it. And Northern Lights, I feel like I grew on that and was able to talk a little bit more about like what I had wanted. So there's some like droney sounds in that and like glimmers and things. And I felt like it was like I was getting closer to it. So I feel like those are two songs that I feel like I was like touching the surface of what my true artistry was.
It was edging its way towards the spacey,
Yes.
ethereal vibe we now live in.
Yes.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, it's very interesting to see, because like you said, those were projects that like you were getting closer to doing all the things, piecing, actually being able to like take, because it's very hard to take music ideas and put them into like reality
Yeah.
if you can't do that like with your own two hands. Like putting
Yes.
words to that is not an easy task. Like
It's not.
they're not words that are up there. So how do
No.
you articulate that other than being able to do it? And so there's always sometimes some people thrive in that where it's like they can articulate it. Good for you. Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
Like, but there is a like, because even if you try and articulate it, it's never quite the way you hear it because the words that you're saying are going to be not misunderstood, but are going to be perceived differently by whoever's
Yes.
doing it
Yes.
than like ethereal could mean one thing to you, but it could mean another thing to me. It's like pop music. Like you could play
Exactly.
100 different pop songs and not one of them could be the same as the next. Like
Yep.
it's so widespread, which is great, but it's also like when you want it a certain way, it's like not quite, but almost. Like
Yes.
we're getting there, but
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's always interesting to see kind of what like how that process goes and what lines are connected and which ones aren't. Sometimes there's a happy accident where it's like this isn't quite what I was going for, but it worked out. Other
Yeah.
times it's like okay, we're not getting there.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
like that's a skill. That's like a skill to learn is like how do I like what's in my head to somebody else? And then like also it's a skill to be able to listen to somebody and recognize like I don't understand what you're saying, but like I'm willing to try and figure it out. Like
mhm,
I think if you have two people in a room like that collaborating, like then it's like all good. Like you guys will
yeah,
figure it out or you'll know like, oh, I don't think we have the same sound and we're not going to figure it out. But
yeah,
yeah, when there's like a any difficulty in communication and like I know like in my early years like I did struggle with that same thing like my songs were coming out and I was like this isn't exactly how I want it to sound but because I can't tell you like I there's nothing I can do. Like I
mhm,
don't know and I can't play it myself and it led with a lot of frustration and then songs coming out that I was like it's good. It's objectively good, but it doesn't feel right. Like and that's not a fun feeling when you're
yeah,
putting your art and your name behind something. So
mhm,
like learning to find what I wanted and like I my mixer and like recording engineer I work with has been great in helping me like learn terminology of like recording and different things too. So like now I have a little bit more knowledge there that I can say like, oh, it's more this, it's more that.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, you're right. It's like what's in my head is soup and it isn't in English. So like there's no way I can explain it to you.
Yeah, and it's I'm very grateful that I am singer last. Like I know my way and I studied music production in college. And so I can piece together all of my puzzle pieces
Nice.
and get that as a foundation. But I also have artist friends of mine that don't do that and don't really know how to even go about starting to figure that out. And it's like you can watch kind of some of the disconnect. But one of those things also like that goes along with that is in that early process of, writing and recording and just like like when you first are starting to do that as a thing, it's like you start out here and you work your way like to here where it's like
Hmm.
you kind of we want to try all these different things like you don't have necessarily a like you're like I know this needs something and it should sound something like this but it's not like this hard and fast it has to be exactly this way but
Yeah.
as you get more and more down through it and go through those experimental phases of trying this trying that seeing what works and what doesn't like you said, like you've figured out more of not only how to say the things, but what those things exactly look like,
Yeah.
yeah, as a part of your music.
Yeah. All learning and growing.
It's all you can do. Like you don't just show up and like you don't get to third base without swinging a bat. You know what I mean? Like you don't
Yeah,
just show up and start like at mile 10 of the marathon. You have
exactly.
to put in the time and suck for a little while
Yep,
to get to where it's like, okay, like I can jive with this.
exactly. Exactly. 100%. I run and that actually I like um relate those two things all the time. Like remember when like you couldn't run a mile and like remember how you can run now. Like that's the same thing. Like you're just learning to build that stamina.
Yeah.
It's a lot
That's
harder. This one is. But
absolutely, because you want it to just already be there. And it's
yeah,
hard to be like, I know that, like, it's hard to recognize how far you can go before you actually go there.
yeah,
And so it's just kind of an idea and a hope and a goal that maybe we can try and work towards
yeah,
until you're actually like living it. And then it's like, okay, previous me, like, we worked it out. We figured out how to get here
yeah.
and
Look
we're
at
going to
us.
keep
Fire.
going. But
Yes,
that first bit is hard because it's like you can't see beyond the blinders, you know?
yes, 100%.
So, but yeah, that's it's and like you said, it's hard to. I would much rather have my music suck objectively and I like it and have it be the way that I want it than like have it be great objectively and not enjoy it. Like you said, like that's
Yeah.
it's tough. It's like I know it's a good song, but it's not what I wanted it to be, you know?
It's a very uncomfortable feeling, I'll tell you. Thankfully, like I'm able to more so appreciate those songs and for what they did and how they got me to where I am. But it was hard being like, I know you guys see me a certain way, and I can't blame you because this is the song that I just released with my name on it. But how do I tell you it doesn't sound anything like I wanted it to? Because I wasn't ungrateful, but it was just
Right.
off.
Yeah. No, and I mean, yeah, it's you can only do so much with what you have at the time. Like you couldn't make songs then because you didn't have the knowledge and the skill and ability that you have
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're here.
we made it. We're still here. We're still doing the
We're
things that
still
didn't shut you down in your tracks, you know? Like we're still
literally.
doing it.
Literally, we just went back to the drawing board. We're like, what do we do differently?
Yeah. That's all you can do is like you can't just live and learn, quite
Exactly.
literally.
Yep.
If you had to pick two or three artists that you think your music is like a combination of, who would it be? Maybe this will give us some more ethereal clues here.
I know. I'm like literally about to like make you
If you
so
pull
much
out
more
some like country
confused.
folk artists
We're
here for
gonna
me,
be so
we're gonna
confused.
have to go back to the drawing board right now. Like we're gonna have to just unwind everything that was said so far.
People are gonna listen to this album strictly because they're gonna be confused about what it is.
You're
Like
gonna
we're
you have
just
to it's just you just have to listen to find out.
yes. Okay. So I actually recently put some thought into this.
Okay.
Um, and
Love
I
that.
think especially with like the new stuff coming out, I want to throw up. I want to throw up
Don't.
even thinking about saying this because I'm like, how dare you even
Oh no.
say these words? But it's true, okay? Voice in my head, it's true.
Is this what I
Um,
think you're gonna say?
I don't know.
Maybe. We'll
I'm
see.
scared.
I'll let you know.
Okay, the three artists that I think, why is it so hard? I'm just gonna say it.
Pull the damn trigger.
Taylor Swift, Florence and the Machine, and Pink Floyd.
Okay.
I think
What?
if all three of them wrote a song together, maybe throw Lana in there and even Fleetwood. Now I'm up to five, so that wasn't the thing. But like all of those. Um, vocally, I think I make a lot of similar choices with Florence. I have that powerful kind of thing that I can do. And lyrically, I think I'm not going to keep explaining because I'm going to throw up. I'm
No,
just
you're
going
gonna
to
have to keep. Because my follow-up question is always why. So
keep going.
I'm gonna need reasoning here.
Um, So, okay, yeah, the emotive power with vocalization, like I think I can channel that, and I'm similar to Florence in that way. I think that Taylor and I have similar writing styles when you break it down, and like when you break our lyrics down, I think that we tell stories in a similar way of a mix of metaphor and real life and capturing moments from different times. And um, I think Pink Floyd is like definitely a band that I am the most inspired by all times. And listening to their music is what helped me find certain elements of my sound because I wanted to make music that made me feel the same way I felt when I listened to them. I didn't want to make music that was a carbon copy of them, but I've never had a band pull out certain emotions the way that I've had their just strict instrumentation do that for me. So I wanted, like, when I'm sitting in my room with my headphones on, listening to my music, I want to be able to get those same feelings out myself. So that's my reasoning. That's my final answer.
Which one were we gonna throw up about?
I think the vulnerability part of it and then feeling like, I mean, to me, those are like my top dogs. Those are people that
Sure.
I've loved for so long. So to be like, and I think that I'm in the same category. There's definitely
That's not
someone
the question. That's not
in
the
my,
question.
like, even to be like, to say like similar as them, not like same category as level, like I am that level, but
Right,
like
right, right.
to be like, oh, I think I have similarities to these people, it makes me feel impostery. Like, how dare you say that you're similar to them? Like, they're so up here, but it's like we're all actually just humans, and like they get up and brush their teeth the same way that I do every morning. At least I
One
hope.
can hope.
Yeah,
We can hope that they do that.
yeah,
Or for that matter, that you do that, you know?
yes. I also my final answer. I brush my teeth every morning, just so that's clear. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's that.
I thought you were gonna throw like when you were like having that reaction, I was like, you're gonna throw like folky names at me, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
completely undoing everything we just did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Taylor kind of has like that folky
She's
country
gone that
background
way.
tasting.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
moved that way a little bit, but
Yeah. But
when you balance it out with the other two, it makes sense.
yeah.
And you said lyrically, you didn't say genre wise, you didn't say
Yeah.
sonically.
Yeah. No, I think
We're
just
still
like
in check here. We're good.
we're good. Everyone's safe. I'm not gonna get
Everyone's
canceled.
safe. Teeth are getting brushed. We're good.
Get all our ducks in a row. Oh my
I knew the
gosh.
Taylor one was coming. I thought that that was what you were having that reaction about
Yeah.
automatically because I was like I get that one a lot, which makes perfect sense given the way that everything looks right now and the way that she is.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing what she's doing right now, so
No.
here we are. This is the industry right now. This is where we're at. But
Yeah.
um, I thought that that might have been because of her like little bit of folkiness ish flavor,
Yeah.
if you will. But I was like, is this what we're having problems with? Is this the one that we need to dissect and talk about?
We can talk about Taylor Swift.
Fair enough.
Oh my gosh.
What is an outside passion of yours that you feel impacts who you are as an artist?
Um, I think like being outside in nature in general, hiking, being in the woods, and like I really like taking pictures of birds and squirrels and deer, wildlife in general. Yeah. I also felt like I was gonna throw up saying that because I feel like that's such a nerdy hobby. I am very new at like um being confident in some of the things that I do that I for so long have viewed as like quirky or nerdy or things that people won't like. So now I'm like at the point where I can say it, but I'm still like a little like
Are we really claiming to be that way right now?
right, right. Are we saying that out loud? But yeah, I love taking pictures of birds and squirrels and just like sitting out there and catching nature, just watching it.
That makes sense with what you said before about like comparing songs to like photography with capturing given
Yeah.
moments. Those are there's a direct parallel right there.
You know what, Ava? I appreciate the time you are taking to understand me as a whole. I
Like
feel very,
I'm not fully there yet though because I haven't heard the actual ethereal stuff yet.
that's true.
You're still in my little folk pop world in my mind. So we
That's
haven't
true.
quite crossed that line yet. But we're making progress.
You're
We're
making
making
progress. We're
progress.
taking
That's all
steps.
you can ask for. We've already said that.
Yeah.
Progress is the goal.
Yep.
Um so this is the point of the podcast where I take a question from last week's artist for this week's artist.
Okay.
And the question is from this past artist, what is your opinion of chili oil?
Oh, the the universe is so weird. When I tell you, I just filmed a video where I was eating so much chili oil for an interview. My opinion on chili oil is it has a time and place. I won't be having it for a long time. It hurts your stomach too much if you eat too much. That's my current opinion.
The world is not that mysterious. Luke was my last interview.
Okay.
And I gave him this. I went we got to this point in the podcast and I asked him to give me his question for next week's artist and I hadn't disclosed who it was. I've never disclosed who it was because A, I usually don't know, and
Yeah.
B, those ties don't usually connect. But I
Yes.
knew that I had him on Tuesday and you on Thursday, and I was like, okay. And so after he gave me his real question, which we'll get to in a moment, he was like, okay, you need to do this for me, and you need to ask her this first. Once he knew it was you, and I was like, okay, I can do that. And I thought you were instantly going to be like, did you talk to Luke? But
No, of course not.
to have that be what you thought was the real question here, it
I
just
literally was like, that's so random.
not music related, not artist related, absolutely nothing creative related. Just what do
I
you
just
think
take things
about
as they
chili
come.
oil?
I take things as they come. I was like, whoever asked that, so weird that they would ask that. It was Luke. What a little rascal.
Okay, can I give you Luke's actual question now?
Yes, I would love to know his actual question.
Before he actually knew who it was for, his question was, what is something that you are most excited about professionally, like musically in 2025, and then also just personally?
Hmm. 2025, I'm most excited to release my new record and tour that and perform it out. And personally, I'm most excited for like I'm most excited to continue to see like where I go and like test my limits, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
more growth.
yeah. Open-ended is a great way to be. No, I'm not joking. That's not sarcastic or anything. If that made me sound like an asshole for a second, I apologize. But yeah, let's leave it open ended. All right. Yeah. No, I meant
Yeah,
that
thanks for
literally. Like,
answering that.
yeah, you really nailed that one. No, I meant that literally. Like, it's because then like there is no like, I mean, obviously bad things can happen, but like there's no like it's a lot of it is like at a like baseline is more of like a neutral state than like setting the bar really high and having something like
Yeah,
that fall or
yeah,
expecting bad things. The pessimist people in the world I have never understood. I'm just like, why? That's
yeah,
just no way to carry through the day. That's just
yeah.
why.
Listen,
So
the sun's out.
being open-ended and just being like something good will come out of it, like don't know what that necessarily is going to be, but I'm
Yeah,
excited to see what comes out of it and have it just be that is a good way to be. And I'm not
yeah,
I'm being genuine with that.
yes.
I I like to try
Yeah,
and
no, I,
approach it the same way. It's just like you just what's going to be is going to be regardless of what you expect or put in
exactly.
as an intention or anything like that. So you kind
Yes.
of just have to be open-ended.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I have obviously desires and things that I'd like, but like I work really hard to just be like, and if it doesn't end up looking exactly like that, it's going to be okay and we'll pivot and it'll lead us to the next thing. Like it it's full circle back to high school. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
We won't
Yeah.
we'll make it through.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all there is to it. And also, like, sometimes when things don't work out the way that you intend them to, something better comes along in place of that, or that new
Yes.
direction that thing that didn't quite go this way, it went more like this way. Maybe that direction ended up working out better for you. Like, I'm a very much like everything happens for a reason kind of
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, that's all there really is to it, is you just kind of have to vibe with it and ride with it and make the best of whatever it is that comes along.
Yeah.
Possibly something better than what you originally intended or expected.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, do you have a release date for the new record?
January 25th,
Okay.
as long as fingers crossed nothing terribly
Pops
goes wrong.
up in the way.
That's the date.
There you go. Just doing
Yeah.
it as one whole thing?
I have a single that'll come out before, so
Okay.
that we're like literally there's like a part of me that's like, oh, these things need to be buttoned up. They will get buttoned up. There's one single that will come up before. So that's the one that I'm gonna send you.
Okay.
Um, so you can kind of get a little glimpse into things.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Yes.
And this will be just like 2 weeks prior to that. So that's perfect. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It just seamlessly fits into promotion.
Yeah. Chili oil and all.
You were a part of that too.
Uh,
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
what is your question for next week's artist? And I don't think we have a chili oil opportunity here.
We won't. It won't be Luke. He won't be
No.
coming back
Just alternate
this
between the two of
close.
you, and I'm just the messenger at this point. That's what we'll do for the next like 50 episodes.
They
Just
just call it
talk to
telephone.
you, and then you'll have a question for him that's like an inside joke, and then he'll be like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Oh my God. That would be hilarious. Okay, so my question for next week's artist is um oh boy. Now I'm blanking. Okay, let me imagine that I'm talking to someone. Okay, so I'm talking to an artist. My question for them is, what is a hard lesson you've had to learn so far in your career, and how has it helped you grow?
Mm, back on the growth train.
Back on the growth. We're keeping it.
Yes. That and the moon are the themes for today. That in space, actually. We'll just zoom it out to space.
Yes, put it all out there.
Okay. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. What is it that you think sets you apart from other independent artists? And not in a putting yourself up there with the Pink Floyds and Taylor Swifts of the world, but just in a what is the Rebekah Jon flavor of things? Like what is it that you're doing that nobody else is doing? What's different other than being from the moon?
Other than being from the moon, which is usually what I tell, I think what sets me apart. Oh, wait. Can you repeat the question? Like from other artists in general?
What is it that you think sets you apart from other independent artists?
Um, wow. Why is that stumping me? I'm like, Rebecca, there are things. Um, I guess maybe the way I choose to communicate, the way I do present my music, like especially going forward, it's not in a typical box. So I think maybe the way I choose to communicate my emotions are a little bit different than what one might anticipate they sound like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what are you so then in that case, what are you thinking the assumption like automatically is like what is it that is the expectation versus reality?
I think like going back to that like folky kind of sound, I think like I think that I'm choosing to talk about things that are universal, but I present them in a unique way, I guess. Like I don't think my music sounds like even if it's a breakup song or like a song that's about religion or something, I don't think it's going to be the typical way you would expect to hear a song about religion. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I think the way I choose to package my art is a little bit differently for things that are terms that we use a lot, feel like subjects we use a lot. I think I package them a bit different.
The ethereal will tell.
It, I know.
The
I'm like,
upcoming
wow,
project will
only
tell
time will
all.
tell.
This
This
is
is
the
like the
tell
most
all here.
highly anticipated and like it's going to be the most criticized album because they're going to be like, where is the ethereal? Where's the space? It's right there. Oh,
But I mean, it's interesting though, because like I said, like obviously we've established going into this, I was expecting it to be more like you're in my world, but you're in a different world, especially going forward. But it's not very often that I feel like I come into these conversations where it's like the music that I know of the person that I'm talking to doesn't align with like what is their current state, like at least in
yeah,
some way, shape, or form. And so it's like it'll be interesting to see because what I might picture as like what might be the first thing I think of when I think of the ethereal space things might be even different than the way you're describing it and like
yeah,
what that means to you. And so I'll also not only get an understanding of what the music sounds like, but understand what that phrasing means
yes,
in your brain, you know?
yes,
And so it's like, it's kind of like not setting an expectation, but like putting out some like pointing me in some sort of direction, pointing the listener in some sort of direction, but then like there's still those question marks there of like I don't know exactly what this sounds like and I won't until I actually hear the damn thing, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. It
open-ended.
it's like I do have some nerves about that, like stepping into this and being more open about this. But honestly, it's like I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't be where I am today having found this sound without having gone through and releasing the music that I have. And I am still very proud of all of that.
It's about the journey to get there. And it's like if you just woke up and just found it, would that
Yeah,
be quite as fun and like meaningful than going through the process of getting there?
right,
You don't
right.
just wake up like perfectly awesome at like your dream thing. Like
No,
that's just not a you don't just wake up and just like, I won't wake up tomorrow and have like my entire catalog be like the biggest thing on the internet. Like that's just not a thing that just
well,
pops up out of nowhere. It could, but like come on
yeah,
now. But wishful thinking, wonderful intentions. However,
yeah,
but like it's just like you don't like it's the songs that, have the little like less than 1,000 streams next to it that are like down the line, like 5 years from now, that's gonna feel like that's gonna feel like, okay, that was a stepping stone to get to where you are. It's like,
yeah,
it's those kinds of
yeah,
things. It's like it makes you appreciate it
exactly.
more. If you just dropped your first song and it just went viral, it's like that's your bar. How do you
Yes,
top that?
yes, 100%. And that would be a lot of pressure, I think. Like that would be so much pressure as an artist to have that many eyes right on you the
Hmm.
second you're there.
Yep. That's why a lot of the things that have happened, like a lot of the songs that have had those sorts of moments, whether it's the first or it's like the fifth, like
Yeah,
it's a one and done sort of situation.
yeah.
Nobody wants that.
No, we're
Have a
here for the
catalog you can
long
send people
haul.
to. You know what I mean? Have
Exactly.
more for the people before you start inviting the people there. You
Yes.
don't have a housewarming party at an empty house.
No.
It doesn't do you any good. Where's nobody? There's
No
no
one's
couch
gonna
for
stay
you
for
to sit
very
on. No,
long.
there's no table to put your shit on. Like it's
Right.
just hey,
Right.
I just bought this property. It's empty, but come over.
Come on.
No,
It's
one and
December.
done.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's the process. So
It
it makes it
is.
fun. You
It
gotta
does.
enjoy the process.
Yes. Yes.
What impact do you want to have with your music and with your artistry?
I want people to be able to feel seen, and I want people to, I guess, just like feel empowered. I would like to help people feel empowered in themselves and, like know that they're not going through it by themselves, but like I don't want my music just to be for people who maybe I guess my fear is that I don't want it to get make people feel stuck. I don't want someone to listen to a song that maybe is about a deeper thing and then they stay there. I hope that it empowers them to see like and feel a little bit more able to work and walk through the world. That's the impact, which is a giant girl from the moon goal to have. So
It's about opening the door that maybe previously seemed locked rather than turning that
yeah,
second lock again.
yeah, like when you do go in and it's scary. I'm not going to say it's not scary or that it's not hard to look in those rooms that you lock up. But like if you are able to go in there and like be compassionate and like just clean it out, you don't have to place any judgment on anything that's in there. Like if you're able to do that work, like there is a different kind of peace that you can walk through and like at least in my own experience, it's helped me a lot. Um, in my life. So I hope that if I'm making music, that my music does that for somebody else, that I could give back in that way, just like everyone has done for me so far.
It's all about passing the torch, right?
Passing it here.
Here, it's your problem now.
Right. We can fix that now. Bye, gotta go.
Yeah, no, it's always I like asking this question, but it's one of those questions that I get like different versions of very similar answers to. I feel like a lot of the time because it's like we just want to do with music what music has done for us
Yeah.
and being humans that have a lot of universal experiences. It's not surprising to hear that music does the same thing for a lot of different people that then go on to create it themselves. And so
Right.
having that intention of like, hey, like this thing might not be like your favorite thing, but like we can deal with it and open the door and get out of the room and
Yeah.
call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you're so perfect and lovable and like good the way you are. Like even with all the stuff that you've hidden away. Like it's like aside from like, there's gonna be like if why am I tripping on my words? This is what I because this is who I am. Like for the most part, the things that we lock away are not as bad as we make them out to be in our head. Like
Yes.
you are not as bad of a person or as like unlovable as like we can say sometimes in our head. And so when you are able to clear those out, it's like you can see like, oh, and I'm okay. Like those were things that happened that maybe I didn't like about myself, or maybe I grew from this, or like, but like that shame, as long as you hold on to that about anything in your life, like it only grows and it's like it is like a poison. Like it will destroy you if you hold on to those like negative self beliefs. Like I do believe that it will destroy you.
Any seed you water will grow.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put
Like
it.
that's so where you put your energy and what you let have the power that you let it have is going to have that power.
Yeah.
Mindset and those things, it's like something I've learned as time goes on is like the amount of control that we have in our like own minds is oftentimes not or more than we think we have. And not
Yes.
in a like, oh, I'm choosing to just not be sad anymore kind of way, but in like a what thoughts we give any weight to and things like
Yes.
that, where it's like you can kind of create your own narrative in that way and kind of pave your own path of which are we going the I hate myself today route or are we going the all right, things are kind of vibing okay kind of route. You know what I mean? It's any seed you water will grow.
Yeah.
So pick the right
For like
seeds.
for me, even like being like on the days like in the beginning when I really didn't like myself, still choosing to be like, okay, and I understand that you're in a bad mood and you therefore are not going to eat all day for some reason. But like I'm here to tell you that you're a human and you have to eat. Like so regardless of how you feel, you still deserve to eat food. You still deserve to not be hungry later. Like and that can sound like a harsh way to talk, but I feel like sometimes those beliefs that like do grow to be a size where like they threaten to take over like your whole life, they do need to be put in check sometimes. Like, and like our mindset having more power and control than we give it to, I feel like there's a point where you can get to where that becomes empowering because you start to realize like, oh, like I can do something to get myself out of this. I don't have to be imprisoned by this, like, because that's like how I felt, like literally like a prisoner by all these like dark, awful things that were in my mind all the time. It's like I can choose to like go run and see how I feel after that. And does it still feel as bad? I still have anxiety, but I don't feel like I can't do anything anymore. Like choosing to take those small steps, I feel like is like I like to think of it like you're literally going to battle with your mind and the darkest parts of your mind. And there are some parts of your mind that like you have to just, you gotta like knock them out, you know, like they don't, you gotta ask them why they're there, but like how they're communicating is not okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay to be
It's
mad. It's not okay to tell me that I'm worthless. Like,
fair enough. Yeah, it is they like whatever you empower will be empowered. And
yes.
so if you strip that away and take the control back in whatever way, shape, or form that comes,
Yeah.
probably a good thing to do to prevent some situations and things. And it's not always like it's never as easy as that necessarily sounds, but and it's also like you're still gonna have bad days that are just, in my
Yeah.
opinion, just gonna make you appreciate the good days even more.
Yeah.
But like whatever you can do to aid your own existence, do those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
you can have the bad day without it turning into a bad month or a bad year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can like it can take a lot of work, like especially if you have like anything in there. It can take a lot of work, but like the work is possible. Like that's like what I want people to know. Like you can get there. Like you can. I know you don't think you can, but you can. I promise. Like
It's an
so,
accomplishable task. That's
yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Just take small steps. You'll be there.
Small steps on the ladder up to the moon.
Yeah.
You're finding your way back.
I am. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to make my final ascension one day. I'll be like, hi everybody. My ship is here.
We've let that narrative run a very long course today, haven't we?
We have, but I actually appreciate everything that.
Taking you as your true authentic self. That's all there is to it,
Yes,
you
yes.
know?
I can't wait for people to watch this. They're gonna be like, wait, I thought this was Rebekah Jon. Like, what is this girl talking about?
Just having a full-on out-of-body alien experience right now. That's
Yes,
all.
yes. I'm really just
Casually.
letting y'all in here,
This
like
is
it or not.
this is what we're putting in place for 2025. Like this is the energy we're bringing into 2025.
It is.
For
It is.
better or for worse, TBD,
Yes.
but
We'll see. We'll see. I'll still be out there making music, taking pictures of birds, whatever happens. I'll
yeah.
be all right.
I think that brings us to the final question, which is why music?
Why music? Because it's everything. Music offers something that simple just words and conversation can't. It's yeah, it's a secret code. It's magic, I feel like. Yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, there's just nothing else like it, and that's all
Yeah.
there really is to it. And there's no really other way to describe it. It's kind of like
Yeah,
trying to describe what's missing in the song, like we talked about earlier. It's like, what words are we supposed to use for this?
yeah, yeah. Like it's universal. Like you don't have to know someone or speak the same language to have a song speak to you and impact you. And I think it's just like really, really special.
Yeah, it's all there is to it. There's nothing really else you can say about it. It's just music is just it's just on that other level.
Yeah,
It's
it
out of
is.
this world.
It is out of this world. I'll tell you what.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of this episode of the Why Music podcast. You can check back again next week for another conversation with another independent artist. Thanks for listening.